Hello, good morning, everyone. Hello, good morning, everyone. I want to believe you can hear me. Can we do a quick confirmation? Just to confirm you can hear me loud and clear. Hello and welcome. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Brown, good morning to you, sir. It's Saturday from Ilorin. It's great to have you join us. Good morning to you, sir. You're welcome. I say Peter Ayola. Good morning to you, sir. God, sir. Luke Kayode, thank you very much for the confirmation. Thank you, Chukwuemeka. Thank you, sir, for the confirmation. And Noisy, Luke Kayode, thank you, sir. Good morning to you. Thank you very much, Idris. Thank you, sir. Muide Choluke. I'm sorry if I missed that. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you very much. Femi Akon. Thank you, Chinedu Ostaji. Thank you very much, and it's great to have you. Endurance. A good friend. Good morning to you, sir. Welcome. Muide. All right. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody to you, sir. Send me a call. Thanks for the confirmation. All right. I believe we can get started right away. Right. Of course, I'd like to wait a few minutes for, in case people are having technical issues, joining so we all can be on the same page as we get started. A lot of top west. You may have to drop it in the chat box, and then I'll pick it up from there. Okay. All right, so let's get started immediately. Okay, and for today's start, we have two events talking about high impact news for today. We have two of such. There is the TPI, and then we also have the data for retail sales as well. We expect later in the day. Okay, I'm going to share my screen so we can have something to see. Just a second. Right. So I have it up and sure we can see my screen. Okay. So going to do a quick refresh. All right. So today, the 25th day of November, Tuesday, yeah, say like 2:30 p.m. We have these high impact news for the dollar. Okay. It's high impact because of these colors. All right. For those of us who may not know that, you see, if you flip your cursor on it, you see high impact expected. All right. That's why we're interested in that news, and especially because it's for the dollar, right? Which is a major currency of interest, significant interest, all right? So that's something to pay attention to. So what it means is that by 2:30 p.m., you can expect some volatility for a lot of the major pairs that we have, all right? And for the PPI, that's simply the producer price index, all right? I'm sure we're familiar with CPI more. Okay, we're more familiar with the CPI, which is the consumer price index, all right? A great measure of inflation, of course, all right? So for the PPI, of course, it's used to measure the average change over a period of time in the selling prices that are received by producers, right? From the name, you see producer price index. So the CPI is focusing on producer, while the CPI focuses on consumers, all right? Um, of course, this also tracks inflation rate, but at the wholesale level, all right? At the wholesale level, right? So it differs from the CPI in that the CPI, of course, like I said, measures the average change over time in the prices paid by consumers, all right? But for the PPI, the prices paid by the producers themselves. Okay. So for today, we're focusing on the PPI data, also as a measure of inflation. All right. And then for the core retail sales, it's also an important one. This tracks the monthly increase or decrease in consumer spending, how people are spending money, all right, especially for the retail categories, all right. And of course, I believe you know that consumer spending accounts for about more than two-thirds of the US economy. That's why this is quite significant. And that's why it's an important indicator to track the overall health of the economy. All right. So we're going to see data for retail sales and core retail sales as well. Okay. Right. Of course, a reading that is stronger than forecast is generally supportive. That means it's going to be bullish. It is greater uh, than forecast, all right? It's greater than forecast. It's going to be bullish for the dollar. And the reverse will be true if it is less than forecast, all right? So you can expect that for 2:30 p.m. I'm going to have eyes on the dollar, of course, uh, for the time leading to 2:30 p.m. Okay, so that's about it for um, fundamentals for today, 25th day of November 2025, Tuesday. Okay, so right about now, I'm going to head over to uh, the trading platform so that we can see the technical setups that we have. And as usual, we're going to start with um, the majors, of course, especially the USD index, okay? Because once we understand the direction of the dollar, we can easily relate that to the rest of the uh, major pairs, all right? And that's why it's pretty much important for me to start from the USD index, okay? Now, don't forget, especially if you're just joining us for the first time, this is our morning market review. And on this forum every day, you get to look at what's going on in the markets in terms of fundamental and technical setups that we have. That's what I did earlier, looking at the fundamental setups that we have that can impact assets for today. And then we're going to head over to the trading platform to also look at the technical setups we have as well. And what we try to do with the technical setups is to look at the important key levels so that we can take trade ideas and also have assets that we can also have to our watch list for today and even for the rest of the week. Okay, so without further ado, let's get right to it. And like I said, we're going to start with the majors. Okay. And all of this is also with the hope that when we have listened long enough, we are also able to come up with our own profitable strategies that will eventually give us an edge over the market. Of course, it's all about the edge. Okay. So, just a second. I'm going to switch to trading platform right away. Starting with the dollar index. As is our usual practice. Okay, so this is the dollar index. All right, it's one that I've always talked about. All right, in fact, we normally start with the dollar index. All right, again, as a quick uh, overview on the monthly time frame here, and of course, let me also be quick to mention that as day traders or scalpers, we really don't pay much attention to the weekly or the monthly time frame, all right, for our trade decisions, all right? but of course, we use them to get some overall perspective in the market. All right. I believe those two time frames are so far out that they really don't have much relevance to us as day traders or as scalpers. All right. But of course, it's great to use them to get some perspective in the market, especially when they align with important key levels. Okay. So, and the reason I said that for the dollar index is this again on the monthly time frame, and then dates back to 2010, all right, early 2010. We have this ascending channel, all right, and then a supported price multiple times, and then we have the resistance trend line as well. Okay, so fast forward to the area of interest, see what has happened here so far. Again, the same trend line acted as support, all right. And since price retested that same trend line, it's been creating higher lows and higher highs, all right. So creating higher lows and higher highs. And it's not surprising for us, especially if you are consistent on this platform. This is not surprising at all. It's one that we've mentioned a couple of times, okay. So we take that to the daily time frame now. We take that to the daily time frame, and this is what we have. Okay. Now on the daily time frame, it's even clearer here. You see series of higher lows and higher highs. Right now, for me, I believe the best time frame to start is the daily. Now on the daily time frame, usually I use that as my anchor chart to get the key important levels for the USD index. All right, and then I tune down to as low as either 15 minutes or 30 minutes time frame for a much more precise entry opportunity. All right. And that's essentially how I take trades. Okay. Yeah, like I said, on this daily time frame, we have series of higher lows and higher highs, all the way to resistance now at 100.215 or thereabout, and then see some sideways movement right there, just before that resistance at 100.215. Okay. Now, I remember, let's see, last time on this forum should be 18th. Should be 18th. Okay. Right. Now, at that 18th, I remember I was telling us that if the dollar index stays above 99.35 and gives us some bullish confirmations above 99.35, the last time this was, that was last week Tuesday, we could expect price to push higher all the way to 100 and then 100.215. I drew these two lines, okay, where we have the expectation. And interestingly, that has played out quite nicely so far. It has played out quite nicely. All right. And then I would say that this move, this rally from the USD index created some very attractive setups on the rest of the major pairs for those of us who caught them. For those of us who caught them, this move or push to the resistance at 100.215 created some very attractive setups from the last time on this forum up to this present moment. All right. Now, of course, I initially drew this level at the pullback point for us to expect a push higher. All right. So now that it is experiencing some resistance at 100.215, it's come across some resistance at that level. Okay. So for me, two things. So I'm going to do this. I like this one instead. And then make this thinner. Right. So currently we have resistance at 100.215, and then for support, we have at 100, but more importantly, because of this imbalance that we now have here, or what you like to call fair value gap, because of this imbalance that we have right here, I can also expect price to come into this area, all right, before the next leg higher. Okay. Now, this is a critical resistance level now, 100.215. And then we have support at 100. But more importantly for me, because of this, again, I'm going to highlight it. That's the expectation I have for the USD index, all right? Because of this load of imbalance that was left behind during that rally, okay? It may be interesting to see price return um, to retest that level or to fill in some of the imbalance before we now see the next leg higher. Okay, so what does that mean? Now, usually on this daily time frame, I'm going to use the Fibonacci tool to get the key levels here for that particular candlestick. All right. So for this now, our reference candlestick is this one right here. Yeah, I'm going to get there in a second. Just hold on. This will give us a fantastic guide for the rest of the major pairs, and that's why I like to take my time here so that we can understand this. Once we understand this, Euro USD, Pound USD, NZ USD, and the rest of the major pairs become even easier. All right. So yeah, so as I was saying, on this daily time frame now, like I said, that's my anchor chart on the daily time frame. I like to get the important key levels. Okay, so uh, this is my Fibonacci tool on this reference candle. And what am I looking for? I'm looking for the 50% level and the 61.8% Fibonacci retracement levels. All right. Okay, I lost the screen. I'm going to put it back. Just a second. All right. It's back now. Yeah. So um, this bullish candle here again is our reference candle, and then for that candle, as I said, because of this huge imbalance that was left behind during that rally, price likes to fill in some of the imbalance before creating the next leg higher or lower, as the case may be. Okay, so moving forward, it won't be surprising to see price retest this area before we get the next move higher. Okay, so we have that area as highlighted here. So I'm going to take out the Fibonacci tool so it's not confusing. So we have it in this area. Remember, just it was the same Fibonacci tool that I used to draw out this retracement level for this. And now this is the expectation that I have yet again for uh, the current market price. So I expect it to come into this area, all right? Okay, so I expect price to come into this area before we get that next leg higher. Right. Now, of course, price has the final say. This is the expectation that I have. Doesn't mean that it's going to play out exactly. Okay. Here we got that. All right. Even dipped a little bit below that area of interest. All right. So right about now, we have this area for the USD index. Okay. But first, sellers have work to do. The first need to push price below this 100 support, all right? Push price below 100 support. So if I see it goes below this support level at 100, then I have expectation that price would come into. Yes, it's possible you can have it on your phone as well. It will take time to master it on your phone because you have to use your two fingers to pinch and drag, all right? So you may practice it a few times, all right, before you master how to put it on your phone. All right. So this is the expectation that I have for this pullback before the next leg higher. All right. Now, like I said, price has the final say. Okay. Price, of course, has the final say. All right. And we do not get too comfortable with it. particular trade setup, we like to consider all scenarios. All right. Don't get too comfortable with a specific trade plan, even though we have expectations. Now, all scenarios should be considered equally. All right. Because the market has the potential to move very rapidly. Okay. So, the expectation that I have is number one, currently 100 price level is acting as support for price. And then a close below that, then I'll have expectation for this area that I just highlighted to us. Now, what would invalidate that is if we instead now get a close above our 100.2 resistance level, then that means we will probably get a move higher before that test of that area as expected. Okay, so that's it for the USD index. And the expectation is that if this continues to push lower from the current level, then we can expect Euro USD and Pound USD to continue to push higher from the current level to take advantage of that pullback that is expected for the dollar index. Okay, so I hope we get that. Let's see what it looks like in 4 hours. Again, this is our resistance currently. It's our resistance at 100.215. All right. This is what it looks like on 1 hour. See how price is pushing away from that resistance. Now, for me, I'll be looking for a close below 100, all right, to make this more convincing. I'm looking for a close below 100 support. Okay. So that's it for the USD index. Now we head over to some of the other major pairs of interest. Okay. Right. So I'm going to start with euro dollar. I'm going to start with euro dollar. Okay. Right. So I have the euro USD up. I have euro USD up. Okay. And then remember we started with the USD index. All right. So below 100.215 resistance, it is bearish. Okay. For USD index, below 100.215 resistance, it is bearish. So what I would mean for Euro USD is that we can see Euro USD to continue to push higher. So take advantage of the pullback that is expected on the USD index chart. Okay. Now, of course, the move in opposite direction because the Euro USD is essentially the inverse of the USD index. Okay, the USD index. Right. So for Euro USD or Euro USD, last week we had eyes on. Okay, I'm going to check that. I'm going to check that. So we have eyes on 1.16 price level. We had eyes on 1.16 price level. If you remember last week, price was above it or around that area. And then we had eyes 1.16. Okay, so it closed below 1.16, which automatically flips that level to resistance. We got a fantastic retest of 1.16 resistance, and then price push all the way to the downside, right? Give us uh, close to 100 pips. Yeah. Okay, so right about now, we have resistance at 1.153. Okay, we have resistance at 1.153 right here, and then we have support in this area as well. Okay, so again, the USD index below resistance at 100.215. All right, below resistance at 100.215. Like I said, below that resistance, we can expect it to continue to experience a pullback. And while that is happening, we can expect Euro USD to continue to print higher prices. All right, so what does that mean? We have resistance at 1.153, which is one to be mindful of. So what that means is that we need to see price take out 1.153, all right? We need to see buyers take out 1.153 resistance for a move higher to be confirmed, all right, for Euro USD. Now I'm going to head to 15 minutes. right? You see how it's still pushing higher on 15 minutes. So this is our resistance, okay? These are our resistance. And then what I'm looking for here is a close above 1.153. Once I see that, plus additional layer of confirmation, I see some bullish patterns above 1.153, then that will be my trigger to long Euro USD, okay, on this 15 minutes time frame. 1.153 is resistance, all right? And then what I need to see here is a close above that resistance. So that automatically flips that level to support. And then I'll be buying at support, okay? I'll be buying at support. Right. Let me check what endurance dropped earlier, so we can check it out. Euro USD is on the descending channel on daily time frame. Okay, we're gonna check that out. Daily time frame, descending channel. Okay. Let's have the support side. Okay, I prefer it here. All right. Now for me, I'll say it's already out of the descending channel, right? Throughout this period, of course, we got it in the descending channel. Now, I'm using this point because for this resistance side now, this is where I have the highest number of candles touching that resistance, which further strengthens the validity of that trend line resistance for me. Okay, if I put it here, I only have this level and this level. All right, but if I put it here, then it's even uh, more valid. All right, I put it on this level. Okay, so currently this is trading outside of that descending channel. Okay, but you are right with your observation, of course. So again, it still boils down to whether we get a close above this resistance at 1.153. Currently, you see how this the same trend line resistance is now acting as support. Price tested it, and then we saw that push away from the trend line support now, and then we have resistance at 1.153. Now, this is, I believe, the reason why we see some consolidation around this area. Okay, this as support and this as resistance. So there is a struggle. Okay, so uh, right. So a large extent, what happens at 1.153 will determine what happens next, okay? Determine what happens next. Currently, is above the 50-period moving average, and then we have resistance at 1.153. So for me, two things. Number one, because this is the resistance, we can expect some retracement and that resistance, say, to the 50-period moving average, and then we get some bullish move from there, okay? Or we see a close above 1.153, and then that would be our trigger to long Euro USD, all right? Depending on how this plays out eventually, all right? Depending on how this plays out eventually. That's for uh, Euro USD. Okay. Now moving on to pounds USD. Emmanuel, I want to believe Emmanuel on Nostec. Okay. So pounds USD now, of course, similar to Euro USD, So while we're looking at 1.153 for Euro USD, for pounds USD, we're looking at 1.314, 1.314. Then this is the daily chart, usually our anchor chart, where the main analysis is carried out to check the important key levels. Okay, I'm not sure what that means, Mr. Brown. I have Zoom on my screen. Yes. Okay, so we have eyes on 1.314 pounds USD. All right, we have eyes on 1.314, and then we have support at 1.3. Okay, so let's take that to 15 minutes. Okay, still pushing higher, currently above the 50 period moving average. Okay, so we see some, let's see how we connect this best. Oh, I get it. Thank you, sir, for the clarification. Okay, so for pounds USD on the 15 minutes time frame, for pounds USD. So on the 15 minutes time frame, I see this resistance initially, right? So again, to take advantage of the pullback that is expected in dollar, right? To take advantage of that pullback, you can expect pounds USD to continue to push higher while the dollar index is going through that pullback period. Okay, so on this 15 minutes time frame, we have resistance here initially, and now that price is above it. Okay, we only need to wait for this current candle to finish bullish. All right. But for those of us who are more aggressive, all right, it will be a fantastic opportunity to go in for a buy. Okay, now that we have it above that resistance. Okay, but for me, I'd like to see more confirmations. All right, I'd like to see more confirmations, and that would be number one. Price closing. Currently, it's above that resistance, but I also need to see it close above that resistance, and then that will be my trigger to long. Okay, that will be my trigger to long. All right, and then my stop loss can be a little bit below that. Support now can be a little bit below that support, right? Or a push higher, right? And then eventually, if buyers are able to take out resistance at 1.314, then we can expect even further push to the upside while the USD index is going through that pullback that is expected, all right, below 100.215. Yeah, thank you very much, sir. I got that. And then USD CHF, For USD CHF, USD here is the base currency, right? USD here is the base currency. That means, just a second. Okay, so we had this level initially last time here. We're looking at this resistance at 0.8, okay? And then price took out that resistance convincingly, and then we saw that push higher. And currently, there's resistance at 0.81, okay? Resistance at 0.81, right? And then if the pullback is expected on the dollar index and the cost USD here is the base currency, that means we can also expect some pullbacks on USD CHF. Can also expect some pullbacks on USD CHF, especially because of this resistance at 0.81 or thereabout. Okay, so as long as it's below 0.81, so on the 15 minutes time frame now, what we now need to see here It's a selling opportunity. Okay. So we have this resistance, we have this confluence of resistance, we have it here as well. Okay, price closed above it, but quickly closed below it again. Same thing right here. Okay, and now we see some sideways movement. Okay, on the 15 minutes time frame. Right, so this is what I'm going to do. Okay, so because of this consolidation that we have here, I've now been able to highlight the high of that consolidation and the low of that same consolidation. All right. So what that means for USD CHF is for me to see a close below the support sign. Okay, it close below the support level right here. Again, we're taking advantage of the pullback that is expected for the USD index. All right, don't forget that this is still pretty much bullish. All right, but we want to take advantage of the pullback that is expected for USD index, especially while it is below the 100.25 level that I highlighted earlier. So for USD CHF, I need to see it close below the support for this to be interesting to sell. Okay, close below that support, which comes in around 0.80867, right? Or a push all the way to test the resistance at 0.81 or thereabouts with some bearish confirmations at that resistance. That will be my trigger to short USD CHF. So those are the two things I'm looking for here in order to take a trade on USD CHF. One is a push to test the resistance at 0.81. Get some bearish confirmations at that resistance, and then it will be good for a sell. Or, on the other hand, a close below support here at 0.80867. Closing below the support is the retest not necessary? Yeah, so it depends on your trading strategy, okay? Depends on your trading strategy. Now, for some traders, as soon as it closes below the support, all right, that's the trigger to sell, okay? But you have to be consistent with that, okay? If that's your strategy, you have to stay consistent to it. That's what matters. All right. You have to commit to it and stay consistent with that strategy. If your strategy is as soon as it closes below support, you go in for a sell immediately. Or as soon as it closes above the resistance, you go in for a buy immediately. That's fantastic. So what it means is that every time you see that, that's what you trade. Now, for some other traders, they like to wait for a retest. As soon as it breaks below a support area, they're looking for price to retest that area as resistance, and then they go in for a sell. Now, if that's your strategy too, you have to also stay consistent to that. You only trade when there is a retest. Okay, so you have to choose the one that best suits your trading style. All right. Now, for me, if it closes below support, what I'd like to see is another bearish candle. Okay, it closes below support. So I see a red candle below the support. I'd like to see, I like to call it a follow through candle. Okay, so I see a red candle below support. And then if the second candle after that is also a bearish candle, that's my trigger to sell. All right, that's my trigger to sell. Same thing for resistance. Closes above resistance. That means I have a green candle above that. The next candle is also a green candle. That's my trigger to buy. All right, that's what I like to do. Absolutely, you can. Adebayo additional. Absolutely, that's a very high probability trade setup using chart patterns. Exactly what you see on the chart. Very fantastic. You will even see that you will begin to know more than the indicators by the time you master chart patterns, okay, and candlestick patterns. Very, very fantastic. Okay, so that's the expectation for USD CHF. For USD CHF. Moving on to USD CAD now. Moving on to USD CAD. USD CAD. Again, for USD CAD, USD is the base currency, and then USD CAD is also trading around this resistance. USD CAD has been very consistent inside of this ascending channel. Okay, inside of that ascending channel, it's been very consistent. Okay. Yeah, so it's been moving very confidently within that ascending channel. All right, and that's so far for me is demonstrating the strength of buyers. Okay, and also in line, also aligns with the USD strength. However, because the USD is now at a resistance, check it again around 100.215. So it's not surprising that the USD CAD too is approaching resistance at 1.413. Okay, at 1.413. Right. So what do I need to see here? This is the daily time frame. Now we have the important key levels. One at 1.413. We have at 1.4060, which is the closest support, and then we have yet another one at 1.398. Okay. So here we have resistance 1.413. What does that mean on 15 minutes time frame? I like to use 15 or 30 minutes for my entry. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But for me, what is interesting is the fact that I can easily check out what is happening on USD. That's the USD index. And then trading the USD pairs becomes very easy and very seamless. Okay. Once I understand what is going on USD index. But basically, I trade non-USD pairs as well. Those are the minor pairs. I trade them as well. Okay, and this is the same strategy that I use on the daily time frame. I look for key levels and then switch all the way down to either the 15 minutes time frame or 30 minutes time frame for entry opportunities. Okay, right. So for USD CAD now, for USD CAD on the 15 minutes time frame now. Okay, this horizontal line we have to work here. The more touches you have, the stronger the support or resistance is. Okay. Right. So for USD CAD now. So for USD CAD now, we have this level. You see here, resistance, back here again as resistance, and then price closed above it. And currently, here is supported price, here is supported price, and now we have price below that resistance. All right, this is the 15 minutes time frame now. Now, USD is also the base currency here. So we have resistance at 1.4116. All right. So below that, I need to see some uh, bearish moves. I need to see some bearish confirmations below that. Okay. So I'm using this as resistance currently. So I need to see some bearish patterns below that resistance. If price close back above 1.4116, then I'll be looking at this level as my next resistance. Take a sell, take a sell trade. Okay, on M15 or the 30 minutes time frame, I'm looking for if it is bullish, then I'm looking for the closest support and then some bullish confirmations at that support. All right. If I miss it on 15 minutes for whatever reason, then I'm waiting for it on the 30 minutes time frame. All right. So usually I use either 15 or 30 minutes for my entry. Okay. So that's it for USD CAD. That's it for USD CAD. All right. Looking at this level or this level. Okay. And again, still the overall trend is still bullish. All right. The overall trend is still bullish. But we're interested in taking short-term sales because of the pullback that is expected for the dollar index. Okay. Okay, because I saw this on D30, also want to highlight it, especially for those who are fans of D30. All right, for you notice that throughout this period, we got this consolidation. Okay, we got this consolidation, right, between 2466 and 23370. All right. Now, currently, price is below that support. All right. Price is below that support at 23370. All right. So what that means is that this may experience some weakness moving forward. All right. That's on the daily time frame. So we have resistance at 23370. Now let's take that to either 15 or 30 minutes. Okay, so on 15 minutes time frame, in this 15 minutes time frame, we have this resistance there, and then we see how price is beginning to push away from that resistance. Okay, price is beginning to push away from that resistance. Currently, is also above the 50 period moving average. All right. So at the end of this 15 minutes, if we get some bearish confirmations, all right, we get some bearish confirmations, right? Maybe setting up for a sell to get some bearish confirmations, especially as confirmed on the daily time frame. It's now it broke below support at 23,370. So automatically that level flips to resistance, all right? Flips to resistance. Okay, let's see what we have on US 100. Right, so US 100 resistance, again, this is the daily time frame, resistance at 25,200, okay? Resistance at 25,200, support at 24,219, okay? So price tested the support side, and then you see these two bullish candles, and now is above the 50 period moving average, okay? Which means that you could still get some push to the upside, okay? You can still get some push to the upside, especially this resistance. So what we need to see on 15 minutes time frame now. Okay, so what we need to see here, we need to see some bullish confirmations. Okay, we need to see some bullish confirmations. Right. Around that support. You see how this level is now acting as support, which is the 50 period moving average. You can apply this on your chart to how this setup that I have that I'm looking at right now. Okay. So I'll be looking for some bullish moves around this level to take my buys, and that would mean bullish reversal candles, okay, which would be the bullish engulfing candle, could be AMA, could be three green candles, and the rest of the bullish patterns that we have. All right. So once I see that, that would be my trigger to long US 100. That would be my signal to long US 100. All right. And then lastly, I'm going to look at oil for we call it a day. Okay. Traded this about 3 times already. Oil. I remember telling us that it's been in the news that starting from December, beginning of December, the OPEC community is planning to increase production by 137,000 barrels per day, right? By 137,000 barrels per day. And that would mean that an increase in supply, okay? And if that happens, you can expect price to crash, okay? So we've been seeing that sentiment play out on the chart so far, okay? We've been seeing that sentiment play out on the chart so far. All right. So of course, we're still interested in selling, All right. So as much as possible, continue to take sell opportunities for oil. Okay, so I'm going to take that to 10 minutes. Right. So to take my next sell, it will be a close below this support here. All right. To take my next sell, we're waiting for a close below this support right there. All right. At around 62.94. That's what I'll be looking at to take my sell trade. All right. For oil, for the reason that I highlighted earlier. It's been in the news that the OPEC community plans to increase production by 137,000 barrels per day, starting from December. All right. And if that's the expectation, it means that there's going to be an increase in supply. All right. An increase in supply means that we expect price to crash. Right. On the other hand, a decrease in or a cut in production would mean that we can expect scarcity, and scarcity would in turn cause price to push higher. All right. In this case, we'll have the expectation is for an increase in production, right? And that's why I'm taking sell as much as the opportunity presents itself. Okay. Right. Yes, it's 50 exponential moving average, all right? It's 50 exponential moving average. Right. All right. So this is I believe this is a good place to leave it for today. All right. We have a number of assets that we've been able to look at. Trying to see that comment. Oh, fantastic. Oh, I wish you had talked to me that day. Felix Iron, I wish you had talked to me that day, guided you on how to go about it. I believe you have my number. You can reach out to me so I can guide you on how to go about that. All right. Right. So this is where we draw the curtain for today. Thank you very much for taking the time out to join us on today's edition of our Money Market Review. We have a number of assets that I've been able to touch on for trade opportunities as soon as presents itself. All right. Thank you very much for joining once again. Tomorrow is another day, same time. All right. Do plan to join us yet again. Thank you very much, and I wish us a great trade day. Bye for now.